Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Welcome back, and welcome back to our weekend of inspiration and promotion. So I've got the lovely Heidi Walker and Nicola Moss helping me with the promotion, and they also have some giveaways and discounts of their own, which they will sort in their videos, etc., and they will let you know how you can add those to your basket, etc. Now, if you want to visit Heidi and Nicola, Heidi's got a YouTube channel, Heidi the Yorkshire Crafter, and Nicola's in Heidi's group. Nicola does a lot of work for Heidi in the group and manages that group, but please check out their beautiful inspiration. Just brilliant, just brilliant. They're both so good, and they both think completely differently, and they both have different styles, which I just love. So I hope you appreciate those as well. So I'm back now with another video, and just to let you know once again what the code is for 10% off your whole basket, just from Friday to Monday. So Monday the 1st of September till 11:30 p.m. And if you add the code Tracy10, all in capitals, no spaces, at the checkout, you will get 10% off your whole basket. There'll also be a prize draw. I will draw a randomly drawn winner from any of the ladies or gentlemen who share any of my videos on social media. So any of my YouTube videos from this weekend, I'll put them all in a hat or use random number generator, and I'll pick a winner from those to win a £25 code that you can use on my online shop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little bit of, oh, I'd already written it down there, look. I'm going to have a little bit of fun with some shaving foam. So I thought, why not? And both myself, Nicola and Heidi, we're all using products sort of from the first release that I ever bought out. I find it, for me, it's hugely important that we share inspiration, and we continue to share inspiration, whether it's stamp 1 or stamp 51. We need to continually share that inspiration, and that's my aim, not to just concentrate on new releases. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have a little bit of fun with shaving foam. Now, you only need cheap shaving foam. I got the shaving foam when I was doing workshops, so this is even before COVID. So I've had these for ages. I bought loads of them because I was doing workshops around the country, and I was also demonstrating for a few companies at shows. So I still have loads of this left. So why not use it, and let's have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to shake that shaving foam. Buy the cheapest you can find, but make sure you buy foam, not gel, foam. So I'm going to take the shaving foam. Let me tell you what cards I'm using. Again, just like the previous card, I'm using Pink Frog Super Smooth 300 GSM 4 by 6 inches, and I've got those in stock. And then I'm using the mat that goes with that, 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, and those are also in stock. And then I've got my 5 by 7 cards, and again, those are in stock. So I'm just moving those out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the first stencil. Did I bring, I bet you I've left the other card downstairs. Hang on. Yes, I think I have when I photographed it. Or did I photograph it? Yes, I did. So in my first card, I used the fern stamp, and that was my main focus, was the fern stamp. But this time, I'm going to use the Snippet Stencil SS1 Tweet. So let's grab some shaving foam. Now, lots of people do shaving foam. It's been around for many, many years, decades, hundreds of years. So lots of people use aluminium foil, or they use a Tupperware container or something like that, especially like if you're demonstrating on site, you'd use some tin foil and then you can keep using it over and over again. I'm just using a piece of copier paper, mainly because I'm working on cards that are 5x7. I'm working on a small area. I'm not working on a large area. So I don't need masses of shaving foam. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, give that foam a shake and hope it still works, because I haven't got a clue. There you go. And you can see there's plenty there, plenty of shaving foam. I've shaken it and it's nice and frothy, just lovely. Now in your shaving foam, you can use reinkers, food colorants, alcohol inks, you know, you can use paints, whatever you want. But what I'm going to use, because I've done it with reinkers many, many times. So what I'm going to use Salvage Patina Distress Oxide Spray, which I have in stock. Let's just get that going. Just trying to get that ball bearing going. There we go. Without sort of shaking it too much up and down, rather side to side. So I've got Distress Oxide Sprays, Villainous Potion and Salvage Patina. And I thought, let's try some Salvage Patina Distress Spritz and Wilted Violet Distress Spritz. Let's give those a shake. And what we'll do is, first of all, I'll see if I can just drop some of that in. If you wanted to, you could just spritz in there. So we could do a bit of both. You can have it like that, or let's bring this in and we can have a little bit of a spritz. You don't need much. Now, what I always say every single time is just make sure that you have some good housekeeping. And I don't mean housekeeping as in around the house, before you think I've gone start raving mad. Just clean the top of your container. That's all I mean. Then I'm going to use Salvage Patina. So let's use the Salvage Patina. And then what I'm going to do, let's just put the lid on that. Then I'm going to use the Distress Spritz. So I'm going to use a little bit, you know, nothing happens, it doesn't happen, but I'm going to use the Distress Spritz just in my shaving foam. And I think I'll put a little bit more of the Salvage Patina in on this, like a cake mix. So a little bit like a cake mix. And then I'm just going to clean the top of my containers. It's just a habit I get into, even though there's a little bit of ink up there. You can use your, let's grab some kitchen towel. And can you see I'm not rushing? I'm taking my time. So I'll just clean the top of the lid. I just like to keep everything nice and clean if I can. Right, so let's move that out of the way. No rush. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to grab a fine paintbrush, or you can use fine paintbrush or like a little needle tool, and you can just give that a little bit of a swirl. There we go. You could use that, still use that on the card if you wish. What I would recommend is that you have your bin, so that you've got your bin near you. So let's grab that. just because then there's no mess. So you can add lots of colours in here as long as you make sure that you don't use colours that are going to make mud. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to move this slightly to the right there, you can still see it, and then I'm going to bring my stencil in. So let's bring my stencil and let's place that here. Now I'm going to mask off the card. So don't be in too much of a rush. I'm going to mask off the edge of that card just so that we don't get the shaving foam anywhere where we don't need it. So let's just mask off that top there. Sorry about reaching my arm over, it's just easier just to reach for it and not worry. So let's, where are we? Let's just take that off there. So now I've got my shaving foam here, and now what I can do is I can just pick up a tiny bit of this shaving foam. Look at the tiniest amount I've got, and that's probably too much. And I can just apply the shaving foam just over the stencil. And then I would have a piece of kitchen towel just to wipe that off. And then if you want to go in and pick up a little bit more of the blue, like a little tiny bit of the blue, you can come in and just pick up a little bit more of the blue, should you wish. Then I tend to just clean that off. So then I'm going to remove my stencil. How easy was that? Nothing complicated, is there? So let's just remove our low tack tape. There we go. Just take that low tack tape. Look at this. Let me just show you. So can you see that? Just lovely. And then what you go, it actually looks like it's got a little heart in there. What we're going to do is grab our heat tool. So let's grab my heat tool. So I'm just going to bring this up and grab the heat tool. And as I heat it, you will see that the colour becomes more intensified and the shaving foam will start to bubble a little bit and bring that oxide sort of up into the surface of the shaving foam. You can see the colour is becoming a little bit more intensified. So just giving that a little bit of a dry. So let me show you. So you can see where I get a little bit of a reaction just around the edges, but doesn't that look cool? You can also put your stencil back over and add more of the shaving foam if you wish. What I like to do then is grab an area, preferably not that, we'll keep that for just wiping up. Look how I'm not rushing. And then I just like to take a piece of kitchen roll and just dab the surface of my card, just to make sure that nothing is coming off there. So there's the start of a beautiful card. So that's one. Let's take another piece of card and let's have a little bit of fun. Preferably one that hasn't got marks on it is really preferable. Let's grab another piece of card, and if your hands are a little bit mucky, just give them a little bit of a wipe. And again, I am not rushing. So shall we add a little bit more of the salvaged patina distress spritz, can't speak. And this time we will use the other stencil. You've got to hope that you've got the stencil somewhere, because Tracy. Then I'm going to use the hair, which is SS2. All these stencils have got the cutout as well. So you have the hair and you also have the cutout. So let's take the hair. Mine's very well used, my stencil, as you can see. So that's there. This time, let's have him sort of bang in the centre there. And I don't really, if you don't hold it down, you've then got to have multiple hands. I don't like it bang in the centre, I can't help myself. By taping it down, I don't have to have multiple hands. Okay, so then I'm just using an old credit card or T-Mobile card, any old card that you've got, and I'm going to pick up, look how, I don't even need that much really, but I'm going to just, might have seeped under a little bit there because of the foot. And the only thing I'm doing is pressing very lightly. What you can also do is, if you want, you can have a spare piece of card and you can just spread a little bit of your shaving foam just onto the card. Look how thick that is. So just spread that onto the card like so, without wiping it. So then wipe your card and you've then got this background. So let's take the tape off here first. So we'll just take the tape off there, like so. Place this here. And what's wonderful is it smells lovely as well. Look at that. I've still got the shaving foam. I could use my finger to clean off, so we'll do that in a minute. Lovely little hair here. And if I've just got a little bit much, I'll just clean that up a little bit. There we go. And what we'll do is we'll heat the hair first. And the colour becomes more vibrant as we heat that. And as I'm getting quite close, that will bubble a little bit, which is what I like. Just gives me another texture. So it gives me another texture to my card. And then we'll just use our kitchen roll. Place the kitchen roll on there, and I just press it in case the oxide has come to the surface, just so that we don't spread any of that anywhere. And I can see a little bit of the shimmer in there as well. Just lovely, but I love how it bubbles a little bit as well. We'll lift these up and have a good look. Then we've got this one where we just wiped the card over. So let's give this a dry. Just give this a dry so you can see. And then I have another little background that I can work with. I'm going to lift this up for you afterwards. So then I'll just use my kitchen roll just to make sure that I've not got any loose pigment. But you can see just... And then let's see if we hit any more, if it's going to react anymore. But now you've got a lovely background with the shaving foam. So that's 3. And look at this, I've hardly used anything at all. So then we can take another piece of card. Oh, she says, without trying to drop everything on the floor. Another piece of card, please. So then let's use, we've used the hair. Let's use the mouse. So now we can use the mouse. There we go. Then I'm going to use my low tack tapes again. Just so that I don't get it anywhere that I don't want it to. Then I can sort of swirl it if I wish. Just give that a clean. Also, if I want to add a little bit more of the blue, I can add that and add a little bit more of the blue. And then you can come back in and swirl that again, because I've got colours that I'm not going to make mud with. That's all you need to make sure that you're not going to make mud. So then I can pick up, you can pick up as little as you want. Can we still see that? Yep. Let me move that up a little bit. There we go. And then I can just bring in my shaving foam. Let's pick up a little bit more of the blue. And I can still pick up, let's pick up a little bit more of the blue. I can make it a little bit thicker. And then you can have another card where you can create this background from. You could go on forever. The only thing I would say is have a piece of kitchen roll at hand. You won't get in a mess. So let's take our low tack tape. And you don't get in a mess anyway, because when you get it on your hands, you just go like that and it's gone. The hardest thing for Tracy is actually picking the stencil up. Where's my scissors gone? Can't find anything. Let's use this. There we go. So then I've got my little mouse. As you can see. And you can see quite pastel-y. Let's heat this. The colour will intensify. So just giving that a little bit of a dry so that that colour intensifies a little bit, just so you can see that. I've got nowhere to put everything. Let's not put it on top of the stencils. Let's move it somewhere else, because we'll look at all these afterwards. Now let's get my grunge stencil, because that's going to be fun. So I'm showing you lots of ideas then. So let's grab the grunge stencil and let's grab the magnolia stencil, the silhouette bloom, not magnolia. So let's grab the silhouette bloom. And this is all about giving you lots of ideas and inspiration. So let's try the silhouette bloom, and let's just, it doesn't matter that this is 6 by 6. I'm still going to use my 4.5 by 6.5. And I'm going to use that floral here. And I'm just going to wing it without adding any low tack tape. And I'm just going to pick this up. Need a little bit more for this floral. There we go. So maybe maybe a little bit more darker there. Okay, so let's just lift the stencil up. Look at that. Look at that. I've got nowhere to put my stencils. Look at that. And what I can do is just grab some kitchen roll. There we go. Let's pick that up, and then I can just wipe that away that's on there. And then let's give this a heat with the magnolia. So don't forget, this weekend is all about offering inspiration and obviously me giving something back with the discounts. So it's important for me that we give lots of inspiration. Just give that. Oh, it smells heavenly. So that's drying that pigment. Can you see? Just so you can see that, just beautiful. So finally, let's do the grunge stencil, and hope I've got another piece of card. So let's grab another piece of card. Again, I can add more of my sprays if I wish. You can also use the end of a paintbrush. It does not have to be that needle one that I used. It's entirely up to you. But kitchen roll is your friend. And I've still got this, so I could use this as well. So you could still spread that look onto another piece of card. So I'm going to use the grunge stencil. And I'm going to pick up some of the then you can take that bit off, or you can add it to another piece of card if you wish. Again, I can even add, oh, actually there's plenty of blue there. So you can just pick up and you continue to add whatever you wish to your project. So kitchen roll is the one thing that you need because it just keeps everything tidy. So let's lift this up. There we go. And I've now got that grunge stencil. I can then just wipe this up quite easily, and then let's give this a dry. And it just gives you a little bit of a different background, a different feel to your backgrounds. It's great fun. And it smells beautiful as well. So just drying the pigment. So you've now got many cards for lots of different backgrounds. Now, clean up is very easy. You can simply, we haven't finished with that yet, she says. Let me just move that out of the way. We'll bring that back in a second. You can just use your wipes. Mine are 100% water. And you can also wipe this onto another piece of card, which I'll do with the smaller stencils and show you, because we might get another print, but it cleans off very simply. Let's take this one and clean that off. So it all cleans off nice and simply from your stencils. Without any staining. But then let's see what happens if we grab another piece of card. And then which stencil? For instance, let's grab the hair. So if there's anything on there, you could just mix this onto here. I could even pick a little bit up off the copier paper and just add whatever's on the stencil, plus could even pick a little bit of this up, maybe a little bit of blue. So I can just clean the stencil and just add, and I will still get like a shadow effect to the card. So let's clean that up. So then spend a few moments just cleaning your stencils. So just clean those stencils. I think I've done with the low tack tape. So having that bin close by means you can just move things out of the way after you've cleaned them. There we go. What's the other one? The mouse. So we just clean that. Plenty of black on that needs to be cleaned off. Did I use any other stencil? I think that's it. So you can also do the usual thing with your shaving foam just to finish off. I mean, you can continue using this continually over and over again until you just get bored of it. You can spend, honestly, you can spend hours just with one lot of shaving foam. So then you can press your card into the shaving foam, lift that up like so, and once you've finished with your shaving foam, you can then just fold that up and it's all contained within your paper. Obviously you don't have to waste that because you can use all that. The reason I am wasting it is because obviously you don't want me here all day doing the same thing over and over again. Now you can get a ruler. Have I got a ruler? Let me just see if I've got a ruler. You can then just get your ruler and just take away the shaving foam. You can just grab some kitchen roll, shaving foam you've got here, and I can just put that into some kitchen roll because it almost disintegrates. And then I can just move the excess just off there, just so that it's all clean. Then I can just wipe my ruler because it literally just disappears. We'll then give that pigment a little bit of a dry so that we haven't got that everywhere. So we'll just give that a little bit of a dry. So just dry your card. Just dry it from the back. And then you've got a lovely background, and I can see some shimmer in there as well. But you've got a lovely background again that you can use. A little bit of text and a floral and you're all set. So we've had a good bit of fun there. And then if we bring in what we've done, just from playing, nothing else. Let's bring these in. I've got that many now. So that background where we just scraped it on, the little mouse, we've also got the grunge stencil. And where's my magnolia? How can you lose the magnolia one? Where's that gone? Oh, it's here. And we've got our magnolia one as well. And that's just from a little bit of playtime. So then we can add to that. So with the magnolia, I could just put a little bit of text on and even another floral coming up, whatever I wanted, nice, easy background. And I'm going to use all these, definitely. I can create cards from them. So let's create a little card. Oh, can't make my mind up between those two. So I've got all these backgrounds and cards now I can make from them, which is just wonderful. So shall we create something with our projects? I don't want to create anything overly cluttered because it just looks really lovely. So what am I going to do? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, where are you? Is it this one? I've got that many. Where am I? Shall we use the wildflower silhouette stencil? Let's move that out of the way. And I'm just going to place, let's have this here like this. So if I grab my distress pencils, is there any colours in there? So I would like maybe, do you like how I'm talking to myself? You are listening to me though, aren't you? So if I grab broken china, maybe a little bit of dusty concord that I can't pick up. What's this colour? Stormy Sky. And these are from Distress Pencils set 6. And then I've got set 4 as well. I think I'll use the Wilted Violet. Come on, Tracy. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Dusty Concord. And I'm just going to add the Dusty Concord scribbled onto the card through the stencil, and obviously missing the bird here, so it appears as if the floral is behind the bird, like so. I'm then going to come in with the Wilted Violet. So let's come in with that Wilted Violet. Keep them in the order that I'm using them. Then I'm going to use the Stormy Sky. So just scribbled that colour on, and then I'm going to use Broken China. There we go. And I've forgotten about here because I'm good like that. So I've done the Dusty Concord, so let's come down with the Wilted Violet, then the Stormy Sky, and the Broken China. Okay, so let's lift our stencil up. Okay, so I've got a scribbled floral on there, very professional. So which brush am I going to use? Then the hardest bit is actually deciding which brush I'm going to use. I'm going to use a round one. These are my Nick Pro, and it said pencils then, paintbrush. And I'm just going to use some water. So let's bring a little bit of water. And then I'm just going to blend the colour just with my water, just so that we get rid of our scratchy lines. Now, if you wish, you can leave yours quite pastel if you want to. You know I'm not going to leave it like that. But if you want to leave it quite pastel, that's your prerogative. So I'm coming in. And what I like now is I've just got simple processes and I don't have to worry about the pencils because they're woodless. So it doesn't matter that I'm coming straight on here onto the Dusty Concord. And then, nearly forgot, give that a dry because I want to layer the colour. So just give that a dry. You don't have to be on there for ages. And then I can come on and lay my Dusty Concord. Just lay that colour. Let's come down the stem as well with that Dusty Concord. Obviously I've decided water's on rations because I just keep putting a tiny amount there. So a little bit of that Dusty Concord, like so. I'm then going to go to my Wilted Violet. So these are from sets 4 and 6. And with the Wilted Violet, I'm going to come in to the Dusty Concord. So coming into that colour. Nice and easy to blend. So just add, again, you can use your Prismacolors, your Polychromos, your clean brush pens, Zig clean brush pens, whatever floats your boat. So then I'm going to go for Stormy Sky. Come back up to the floral, come in with my Stormy Sky. Always have a piece of kitchen roll just on the side, just in case maybe you've got a little bit too much moisture. And then you can take that off your brush then if you've just got a little bit too much moisture. So just pick up that Stormy Sky. Let's just add this to here, to my stem. And I haven't had to do any masking, but it does look now behind the beard. Okay, let's take the Broken China. Now, just take a little bit of moisture off there. And then I can come in with the Broken China just into the previous colours. There we go. And then I can just soften the edge a little bit. And then you can give that a dry. So just give that a dry. And by giving that a dry, it means I can then come in and I can reapply all the colours again, which just gives me more of that depth, more depth of colour, because I'm layering that pigment. And if you don't use too much water, it doesn't sort of run away with you. You've got that control. So a little bit of Wilted Violet. And again, you're not affecting these because they're woodless. and it's up to you how much of that pigment you want to add. A little bit of water. And I don't mind that that water is tinted a little bit with the purple. I'm going to take the broken china. I have got broken china, yeah. And I'm going to come in with that broken china, just to give a little bit more of that colour. And then you can just touch that with a little bit of water, just to give it a little bit more of a blend. So then you've incorporated the floral then with your card that you started off with a little bit of shaving foam. So let's give that a dry. There we go. Just bend my card a little bit, and then I'm going to come in with a little bit of text. So TE11, just because I can't resist. So I'm going to come in with TE11. And because it's one of my favourite stamps, I can't help myself. I forgot that we did the one where it was just a faded piece as well. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to, yeah, I am. I'm going to add, where's broken china? I'm going to take the broken china distress pencil, and I'm just going to add that pigment just to my stamp, and then I'm going to spritz lightly with water. And then I'm going to add a little bit of that text just to the background. There we go. So you've got that watery feel to that. You can see there's a little bit of green on my stamp. So let's just give that a little bit of a, it's got some permanent ink on there that was greenish in colour. I'll lift this up because you can see the watery effect. So I'm going to take the broken china again, and I'm just going to, only once, spritz with water, and then I'm going to take the text again, and it just gives me that watery feel. I'm then going to come in with the wilted violet because it's already wet on there. Don't think I'll need to spritz with any more water. And let's add a little bit of that purpley colour. Let's add a little bit more, the wilted violet. You don't need to spritz very much at all. Honestly, when I spritz, I drown everywhere. Then I'm going to take a little bit more of the stamping. You can see I've got that really watery feel to the stamping as well. And I'm going to give that a dry, and then I'll lift that up for you. Again, I don't need to dry it much because it isn't as if I have soaked the whole background. But just so you can see that, it's got that really watery feel to it. There we go, which is just lovely. I can still, if I want to, I can still come in with my pencils and I can still add a bit more pigment if I wish with my colours. So you don't have to think that you've got to leave it. You can still use your pigment and add even more of that pigment. Obviously, you need to just add the layers slowly. And again, I can come in, just sort of redefine my lines again. just adding even more depth to that. And then you can just activate it if you wish with the tiniest bit of water. I'm going to push it so the darkest colour goes down to the bottom. There we go. But I could just play forever. Then I'm going to add a little bit of shading with my Inktense pencil. So I'm going to add a little bit of shading down here. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of shading just to ground our image. Now, if I'm going to use the same paintbrush, I just need to make sure that obviously I haven't got any of that colour on there. So I'm just going to just add a little bit of grounding, just so that everything isn't floating. And then I'm going to bring a little bit of shading to our floral. I don't think I added any, just around the edge here. I only need a little bit of water. I've always got my kitchen towel. I didn't do down here, look, just on one side, just so I can dab off the excess water if I've got a little bit too much. It just gives me a little bit of shading to my floral. And I'm going to add a little bit more darkness here. And just so it's a little bit darker, got a little bit more oomph. Just to that, just so that it's properly grounded. There we go. And then I will add my Posca pen. Let's just check that my Posca pen is not covered in any waxy layers. You could also have placed your bird down like so onto the card, made it sure it was stuck down with some low tack tape, and then swiped over with your shaving foam, lifted this up, and then you'd have had the bird in white and the shaving foam around the outside. There's so many little ideas that you can use. I can't see. Was there any white in that? Let's use the other one. I don't think there's any white in that. I could use my bleed proof, but there's definitely no white in that, I'm telling you now. I think that pen needs a little bit more work. Let me just use my kitchen roll. And we'll come in. Now, if you use your bleed proof white, that won't take on any of the colours from the oxides. It will just stay that pure white. And I tend to dry the Posca pen, and then you can add another layer of that white if you wish, or use your bleed proof white. But again, I'm just adding layers with my Posca pen, just so that's a bit more prominent, and just drying it a little so that that Posca pen doesn't take on that colour. But it's lovely and textural. So I'm then going to add some of my splatters. So let's add a few splatters. So a lovely sort of simple idea. And then I can worry about the word in a second, or I can leave it like that. And then when I've got an occasion, I can add an occasion to it. And then just quickly, the little idea with the mouse, you could take, so I'm just sort of thinking aloud. So you could take, why is it never the one that's at the front? TE36. So take TE36. We could take one of the cats. So let's take one of the cats. Easier said than done. Take the cat. And I'll ink that with black Nocturne ink. So take that Nocturne ink. It's a VersaFine Clair Nocturne. Again, I've got those online. Maybe drop that then. Then I can add my little cat in here. Now, remember, you've got the shaving foam. Yes, I've dried that, but you're no longer stamping onto this white area that is absorbent. So this is less absorbent. So you will need to dry and blot, or one or the other of your cat. Now, just give that a few moments. Don't be in too much of a rush. So let's give that a little bit of time just to absorb onto the surface of that card. And that's perfect enough for me. And then what we can do is, where's TE? Which one's got the T32? And then I could put, does this have, oh, I'm just chucking things on the floor now, bear with me. So we've got the cat. Did I put, do you know, put the cat back first. So I've actually got the word cat on here. So let's grab cat from TE36. I actually cleaned my acrylic blocks the other day. Can you believe it? No, I can't either. So then I can add the word cat. Just add that here at the moment. So just add that. We'll just put that word cat. I can't remember. Where's TE32? I don't think I have I? No. So then let's put 36 back, which is the cat. Then I can have a little bit of a faff, because I'm sure you don't mind. Then I can put where's the N? Come on, Tracy. I'll N. It's going to take me ages to think what I was doing. And I have to, it's a terrible habit, but I have to say the alphabet over and over again when I'm spelling something out. Please don't ask me why. I'm just strange. I am just strange. Now, if you want, you can just put a piece of low-tack tape at the bottom here so that you've then got something to line them up against. I'm sorry, I don't bother. There we go. So I'm going to ink that up from TE32. These are the alphabets from TE32. Let's just add that. N and D. You can hear me spelling it out because it's just what I am doing. Because I can't help myself. And if you haven't got silly nails, it really works. And also, if you use your tweezers, it works as well, because I've done it loads of times. but I'm not grabbing them out as well. So Tracy's going to faff. Then S, element O, P, element O, P, Q, R, S. I am going to irritate you by saying the alphabet out loud each time. And even if I don't say it out loud, trust me, I'm saying it in my head. Because it's just a terrible habit. I still nearly said it out loud then. You can also put the letters on your board here and then just place your acrylic block on them. Let me see if yeah. So let's take the VersaFine Claire Nocturne. I'm having too much fun. Shouldn't be allowed. And you'll see that I've put the mouse with the E. The E is not meant to be straight. It's meant to be quirky. There's a little bit of debris on there. Lovely. So let's place those back. We've got upper and lower case. And I keep them in a wallet because that way everything stays safe and I don't lose anything. And considering I've just cleaned my acrylic blocks, I will be good and clean them all up. Okay. So then, I want the little mice. So on TE32, you've also got the little mice. So let's grab the little mice. Which one do I want? Is it that one? Yeah. So I'm going to grab the little mice. Let's grab that. And I'm going to use my black Nocturne ink. If you find that when you're using a little stamp, you've got a little bit of a rock, place another little stamp here and it'll stop that rocking. So I'm going to stand on this as if the mouse has sort of knocked the E. There we go. It's nice to have a bit of fun in your artwork. So then let's just place that down. Let's just, where were you going? I do try to keep things relatively tidy. Doesn't always happen. So I'm just going to give this a little dry. Not this so much, but more this. And then I haven't got a piece of copy of paper. Let's just use this. Just give that a little bit of a rub. Just make sure that we haven't got any of that loose. Can you see here? That's where it's on the shaving foam. So you need to give that a little bit more of a dry. And I always think copy of paper is better. Because it's got that absorbency, it's just a little bit better, I feel. Oh, there's hardly anything there now. So I've now got the cat and mouse, and then we're going to give that some grounding, like so. We'll come in with our brush again. We'll just give that a little bit of grounding, just so they're not just sort of, you know, floating in midair. We're going to give a little bit of shading under the cat and mouse. And just give that a little bit of a with the water. We'll just give that a little bit of a heat because I've got that moisture on there. And the only reason I turn the card over is just to sort of straighten that out a little bit. Can you see the state of my fingers? Terrible. So if I want to then, I can add a floral if I wish. So let's just see. Or am I going to, honestly, I'll spend ages doing that's what I'm going to do. So now I'm going to add the floral again, but this time I'm going to use the oxide inks, and I've got some of my small blending brushes. So now I've got packs of small blending brushes in stock. So I'm going to use them. And what I'm going to do is, no, them are not the colours, Tracy. I'm going to use Wilted Violet and Salty Ocean. So let's grab Wilted Violet. So I'm going to grab Wilted Violet, and I'm just going to take a little bit of the colour. Now, by holding the brush a little bit lower down, I can really pick that pigment up. Now, you want to really add a lot of pigment to your brush. So keep adding until it's coated with that pigment. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the pigment just going down. And I can just add a light touch apart from that top there. And by having the smaller brushes, they're not quite as bulky. Then I can take my Salty Ocean, and I can take a really fine brush. Don't need to hold that stencil. And then again, just go in a circular motion and coat that blending brush with your pigment. Look at that, coated in pigment. But it's got that fine, narrow head on there, but it's still got the beautiful quality of giving you that beautiful blend. You can pick up more pigment if you wish, and just pick your pigment up. Then we'll go back to the purple, the Wilted Violet, and we'll add a little bit more depth. Just a beautiful, beautiful blend. So then I'm going to go back to the Salty Ocean. But I am going through the text this time. So let's come in with a little bit more of that blue. And it's all about the layers, layering that pigment. Then I'm going to come back to the brush with the purple on and just blend the edges so that we don't look like we haven't got a really good blend. We're then going to lift our stencil up just so that we've got our floral within the cat and mouse, and you can see you can still read that text. So let's just, the one thing I didn't do is I put that distress pencil on there, so let's just give that stamp a little bit of a clean. So then we can come down just like we did before, just add a little bit of shading just to our floral, and just a little bit around here, just so that we've got a little bit of shading, a little bit of, that's far too much water, a little bit of depth. Have your kitchen roll just standing by if you've just got a little bit too much of that water. So just adding a little bit of shading there. And exactly like I did with the previous one, we'll take our white Posca pen and just add some of that white. And then let's give that a dry. Again, come in with your white paints if you wish, just so that that's more prominent with your opaque paints or your bleed proof white. I'm just coming in with my Posca pen and I'm just going to add layers of that Posca. So I'm heating so that I can add layers. And then it just becomes a little bit, a bit brighter, a little bit more prominent, and works quite nicely. So let's give that. So then we'll add some splatters. But before we do that, we just need to add a little bit of grounding just to our mouse, just so that it's not floating inside. I want it to just be grounded a little bit, or I do anyway. So then we'll add some of those white splatters. And I'm sort of being mindful that I don't hit the text, so I am being mindful of that. I haven't added a word to this, but we can use New Beginnings, TE4, and each day is a treasure, with brave wings she flies, the beauty of flowers. So with brave wings she flies. This is a well-used stamp set. That's my mask. Let me just place that. Where is it? With brave wings she... There we go. So we're going to use with brave wings she flies. Bring in my acrylic block once again. Don't stretch your sentiments. Just place them on there. I'm just going to... I have to play around a little bit. That's just me. I'm going to add that there. Oh, that's very good, Tracy. So when you do something like that, I've got with brave wings she, and then I haven't got the flies. That's not a problem. So what you do then is you make a feature of it. So let's just take the sentiment again, and rather than cutting out the whole sentiment, which is what I do sometimes, I'm going to put that back. And what I'm going to do is sort of make it a design feature, and I'm just going to cut out the word flies, as if that's the only one, the only word that has got some dimension. I'll try and not let that go, because I'm good like that, letting them go, and then I can't find the bits and pieces. So let's take our adhesive. And just add and then I can make a feature of the word flies. You see, I meant to do that, and nobody knows any different apart from me and you. We're the only ones that know that. So what we can do then is we can add these to a black mat, which always makes those pop. So let's add those to a black mat. Nice, simple idea. Nothing, not bulky at all, so will go in the post beautifully. Now I just have to be mindful. I've added moisture to the card, so I'm adding a little bit of adhesive to the centre just to make sure that that is stuck down. That was the worst lining up ever. There we go. That's it. So the card is pretty flat, so it's easy just to stick down. And then if I add that to a 5x7 card blank, it just finishes it off beautifully. You can then add one of the little birds to the inside from TE4 for the recipient. Let's make sure that card is going to be the right way, like so. There we go. And each time you visit the stamps, you come up with it with another idea, which is lovely. And then I'm just going to underline the word flies, but not the rest. There we go. I will hold both cards up for you in a second. So let's use the next one, the next card, which is Cat and Mouse. Completely flat card. And we've had a little bit of fun in our crafting. So there's no layers on that. That one is totally flat, but you've still got the dimension on there. And if we add that to a 5x7 card blank, again, you could use the little mouse and add that to the inside of your card from TE32. Let's just add that. And again, sticking down is very easy because the card's not too curled or anything. Let's just remove the debris from that, and then I can place that back. And then we'll just lift those two cards up. And I've got all those other backgrounds and cards I can use. I'm going to have to do something with this because I think that is gorgeous. So now you've got two cards. You've got something on the back of that. Yes, you have. Always work on a clean surface so that you don't pick up debris. That's it. So we've got the lovely bird with brave wings she flies, and then we've got the cat and mouse. Just love them. So I hope you've enjoyed that little tutorial, and don't forget to check out Heidi's and Nicola's projects. Go check those out. They're absolutely fantastic. So check out Heidi's videos as well, and also Heidi's group, which Nicola looks after. But check out Nicola's samples also within Heidi's group. So love to all. And that code once again is Tracy10, all capitals, no spaces, and that will give you 10% discount on your basket. So love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.